Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new podcast made by me, your host, Manu. And what is this about? It's basically it's a series of videos where I discuss about different topics and I try to sort of spark a different perspective, some sort of thinking. This case, I will try to debunk some thinking, hopefully. But I don't think I'm right 100%. I think I'm a little bit right. And in this case, I will try to get as much information as I can on the topic and try to sort of attack the thing. So every time I do this kind of podcast, I try to come up with something to talk about. And this time, as the title says, we are gonna try to understand if you are a alpha male or not. And am I a alpha male? And spoiler alert, no, you're not an alpha male. No one is an alpha male. Alpha male just do not exist. It's somehow something that came out and from some research in the past. Then someone pointed out, yeah, but you're doing research in a very particular specific environment that does not apply. So is it real? Is it a real distinction? And by that time, by this debunking of this idea, too much time have passed, and this thing sort of spilled in what was the in society. So this idea came to us, and we took it for granted because it was coming from science. It was still not debunked, and we sort of kept going. But this is some sort of the summary of what we am gonna try to go through. So first of all, what does it mean being an alpha male, and what does it mean to be a beta male? Because if it's an alpha, there is a beta. And my god, if this is really badly written, so I'm trying to get it from Wikipedia, but here alpha male and beta male, or simply alpha and beta, are pseudoscientific slang terms for men derived from the designation for alpha and beta animals in etology. The alpha term male is often incorrectly applied to any domineering man, especially bullies. Both terms are frequently used in manosphere, blah blah blah. So the term alpha male is often correctly applied to any dominating man, especially bullies, and the beta, instead, it's written here, the term beta is used as a pejorative self-identifier among members of manosphere communities, particularly incels, who do not believe they are assertive or traditionally masculine and feel overlooked by women. It is also used to negatively describe other men who are not assertive, particularly with women, and generally in life as well. So I think the definition of Wikipedia is a little bit confusing. Yeah, it's not really that well written, but that's how I wanted to sort of start, because it sort of already tells you the story of what is exactly. It's not, the definition between alpha and beta is somehow clear. Alpha is generally something positive, seen as positive, beta as a term that is tend to be negative. Here it says incorrectly that there are only alpha and beta males. The truth is that there are also alpha beta females from the original study. And actually, let's go to the original study. For some reason, we just got it for men. The society in that period that this paper exactly came out, society, people in general, they decided to just take it for the men. women. No. But so this is one of the first papers that was talking about the alpha and beta concept, and they were talking about the social dynamics of captive wolf packs. And here is the key term is actually captive, meaning, and also wolf. So captive means that they were in a zoo, and we are talking about wolves. So why is this concept being taken by people? Because they somehow, I guess somehow they liked it, and they saw that, yeah, I can see the similarities between wolf packs and people, groups of people. And so they sort of simplify the normal relationship with people, and they identify them as the relationship in wolf packs somehow. I mean, in the end, what we tend to do in trends is somehow take what is cool from science and adapt it to our situations, but unfortunately it was taken badly. But anyway, so what is this paper saying? So blah 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 have shown that the relationships within a captive wolf pack are extremely complex. These relationships, which include the hierarchic dominant subordinate relationships among the females as well as among the males of the pack. So alpha and beta males, we'll see that that's how there's is gonna talk about them. It's not only men, it's also women, but we only took it for the men for some reason, or it's mainly taken for the men, as well as among the males of the pack, are especially evident during the breeding season, at which time sexual rivalry is often intense between certain conspecific. Other relationships have been described include leader-follower relationships, there being an alpha or dominant member of the pack, usually a male, okay, that's probably where it comes from, and sexual relationship between mated pairs. And well, then he goes on describing things, but what happened in there? So the thing is, I'm not gonna be the one to sort of taking down. I found other articles that do much better work than me, and you're gonna probably believe it more than me. So this is one of the articles that you can find around, and wolf packs don't actually have alpha males and alpha females. The idea is based on a misunderstanding. And that's the paper or the article that I'm gonna read right now, in sort of debunking the initial idea of alpha and beta. So you might have heard that a wolf pack is led by an alpha pair. Given this designation, it's easy to imagine that this pack consists of young adults and other animals in strict ranking system. You can imagine that relatives, newcomers, and challengers are all part of the system. Maybe some of these wolves might challenge the alpha male to take over leadership of the pack. On the How Stuff Works website, for example, you can read that wolves follow an incredibly sophisticated group hierarchy. This is, remember the paper, that's what it was saying. The relationships within a captive wolf pack are extremely complex. And now we are gonna understand where is this misunderstanding coming from. The pack structure is said to include a beta wolf, who is the deputy, and the omega wolf, okay, that was not in the original paper, who is at the bottom of the rank and often the victim of bullying. Actually, I'm not sure if it's not or if it is yes or no in the paper. It might be in the paper, but usually we just refer to alpha and beta thing. Then yeah, there are also the other letters, but in the end it's like it's, I don't see that important. I feel like, yeah, they just added letters in the end. But in reality, wolf packs are usually much less complicated. Reality. So here's the key part. This thing doesn't work for wolves in the wild. Well, these concepts might have been noticed in a group of wolves captive. So remember here the key term captive, but not in the wild. So what they have actually find out, what's the main thing in the wild. So calling wolves alpha and beta animals comes from research on wolves in captivity. So the leader is called the alpha male. Then there may be several rank levels: beta, gamma, beta, omega, anything, gamma, delta. But this is not a concept that works for wolves in the wild, she says. Most wolf packs simply consist of 2 parents and their puppies. The group may also include 1 to 3-year-old offspring that have not yet headed out on their own. The adults are simply in charge because they are the parents of the rest of the pack members. We don't talk about the alpha male, the alpha female, and the beta child in a human family. So this is what the big problem. So this concept of alpha and beta male has been found in some sort of structure, some sort of very specific situation of wolf packs. But when you go to the wild, which is the natural place where these wolves are, but when you go into the reality of things, there is no beta and alpha, because naturally the wolves will not group in such way. So the concept of alpha and beta males just doesn't apply in reality. And here I'm actually going through the paper that sort of try to take the concept of alpha and beta male in the wild. So here this is another paper which basically states that the wolves in the in the wild have a different structure. So the prevailing view of a wolf pack is that of a group of individuals ever vying for dominance, but held in check by the alpha pair, the alpha male and the alpha female. Most research on the social dynamics of wolf packs, however, have been conducted on non-natural assortments of captive wolves. Here I describe the wolf pack's social order as it occurs in nature, discuss the alpha concept and social dominance and submission, and present data on the precise relationships among members in free living packs based on literature, blah blah blah. And here you'll see that I conclude that the typical wolf pack is a family, with the adult parents guiding the activities of the group in a division of labor system, in which the female predominates primarily in such activities as blah 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 blah. So that's what it is, and so this is sort of started to debunk the idea, or actually the origin of the idea between alpha and beta. And I'm actually gonna go a little bit further than this, because then you might still find some resemblance, like, yeah, so the alpha and beta concept looks like to be working in a confined environment. So what if I consider a group of people, for example, working? Can the alpha and beta concept work? And the truth is that not really, not even in there, because as you'll see, we are not wolves. Even if at this point you're gonna accept the concept that, yeah, so what if it didn't work for the alpha and beta concept, doesn't work for in nature, it still works. It's being found out in a captive environment, in a controlled and small group of wolves. So we can still take it for small groups of people. There will be a person that is in charge, and this person will be seen as the alpha, and this is still fine for me. So let me try to take it down even to a higher level. The myth of the alpha male. This paper should try to convince you, I hope, that it just doesn't work, the concept of alpha male. So unfortunately, this article really goes to the topic of alpha male and the attraction with women. So I might understand if someone does not really like this sort of thing. You might still see, yeah, but what about working environment only? I think you can understand. Once we go to the bottom of this, you probably will understand that, yeah, it also, these same concepts will be also a problem in a work environment. So the concept of alpha have been in the end extracted mainly for alpha males, so that's why I'm gonna try to take down the alpha male concept, and it will be the same for alpha females, that's for sure. So here is saying distinction between alpha and beta males. As the story typical goes, there are two types of men. Alpha males are those on the top of the social status hierarchy. They have greater access to power, money, and mates, which they gain through physical prowess, intimidation, and domination. Alpha males are typically described as the real men. Real men. In contrast, are the beta males, the weak, submissive, subordinate guys who are low status and only get access to mates once women decide to settle down and go searching for a nice guy. What? Really? Come on. Don't be so mean to the beta males. This distinction, which is often based on observation among other social animals, such as chimpanzees and wolves, paint a very black and white picture of masculinity. Not only does it greatly simplify the multidimensionality of masculinity and grossly underestimate what a man is capable of becoming, but it also doesn't even get at the heart of what is really attractive to women. So this article is actually going for the attractiveness of beta and alpha male to women. Blah blah blah. So here is what they try to do. They did some research, and the research presented their participants with videotaped and written scenarios depicting two men interacting with each other. The scenarios varied on whether the male acted dominant or not dominant, so alpha or beta. For instance, here's excerpt of a scenario in which the male was depicted as dominant. John is tall. I don't care about, feet and libras. I'm European. It's all about kilograms and centimeters. I don't care about, what is this? 5 apostrophe and 2 apostrophes. What the hell? Anyway, John is tall. He has been playing tennis for 1 year and is currently enrolled in an intermediate tennis class. Despite his limited amount of training, he is a very coordinated tennis player who has won 60% of his matches. His serve is very strong and his return is extremely powerful. In addition to his physical ability, he has the mental quality that leads to success in tennis. He is extremely competitive, refusing to yield against opponents who have been playing much longer. All of his movements tend to communicate dominance and authority. He tends to psychologically dominate his opponents, forcing them off their games and into mental mistakes. In contrast, here an example of a scenario in which the same tennis player is instead depicted as not dominant, beta. His serve and his returns are consistent and well placed. Although he plays well, he prefers to play for fun rather than to win. is not particularly competitive and tends to yield to opponents who have been playing tennis for much longer. He's easily thrown off his game by opponents who play with great authority. Strong opponents are able to psychologically dominate him, sometimes forcing him off his game. He enjoys the game of tennis, but avoids highly competitive situations. Across 4 studies, the research found the dominant scenarios were considered more sexually attractive, although dominant John was regarded as less likable and not desired as a spouse. Dun dun dun. Wait, is not all good? Women do not like extremely competitive people? Yeah, I'm already getting to the conclusion, right? Okay. So not so fast. Let's try to understand exactly why women find sexually attractive of a spouse or what. In a follow-up study, the researchers isolated various adjectives to pinpoint which the extremes were actually considered as sexually attractive. While they found that dominance was considered sexually attractive, aggressive and domineering tendencies did not increase the sexual attractiveness of either males or females. There seemed to be more of the story than just a mere dominance and submissiveness thing. So here is saying that the researchers had 118 females undergraduates in the research. So I'm not sure this is a proper study. Like, you should have way more people in order to properly build your statistics around the research. But I mean, let's take it for what it is. So they added a crucial control condition, which some participants only read the first 3 sentences of the description. Consistent with the prior study, women found dominant John more sexually appealing than submissive John. However, the John depicted in the control condition had the highest ratings of sexiness of them all. What does it mean? That they read only basically they divided the women in 4 groups, I guess, and they made them read 4 different depictions of John. One is the first 3 sentences of dominant John, then others the full sentence of dominant John, then they went with submissive John, the first 3 phrases of submissive John, and then they went with everything of submissive John. And what they found out is that most of women just like this John, the John with only 3 phrases. They liked less a John where they were talking more about John and his personality. Why is he so dominant? Is it starting to click something in there? What's going on? Well, this most certainly doesn't mean that the extremely brief 3 sentences descriptive of the John depicted in control condition was sexually appealing. Rather, it's more probable that hearing about either dominant or non-dominant behavior in isolation of other information about him, because obviously there might be even more about John, made him less sexually attractive. So the research conclude, in short, a simple dominant and dominant dimension may be of limited value when predicted mate preferences for women, because in the end they might be hearing 3 phrases out of you, like on Tinder, but when they get to know you, they're gonna be like, oh wait, I don't really want to have a relationship with this person, so it's not a good prediction. So then they went through what are the main phrases, the main words that describe dominant and not dominant, or alpha and beta. And here they are. So dominant were aggressive, they try to understand the likeness of this group of women depending on these words. So they try to understand how many women like aggressive or assertive or confident or demanding men, and then they go with easygoing, quiet, sensitive, shy, and submissive. So here's what they find out. And yeah, so talking about dominant John, confident and assertive were ideal for a date. So women prefer confident, assertive people. That's what it is. I'm sorry if you're not. That's what it is. But no woman, not one woman wanted a demanding male, and only 12% wanted an aggressive person for a date and a romantic partner. So take it, alpha males, you're not doing it. You're not doing great. You're not gonna do great, okay? If you're demanding and aggressive. But if you're not demanding and aggressive, then you're not alpha. I'm sorry. Then talking about not dominant adjectives, easygoing and sensitive were the best ideal for a date, ideal traits for a date. It's like, okay, good to know. No, not one woman wanted a submissive male and a shy male and quiet. Oh, okay. So somehow, let's put everything together. It's interesting because it looks like the best man will be a confident, assertive, easygoing, and sensitive man for a woman. And it's interesting that it's just a cross of being a alpha and what is the definition of alpha and what is the definition of beta. And so this analysis was revealing because it suggests that dominance can take many forms. The dominant male who is demanding, violent, and self-centered is not considered attractive to most women, whereas the dominant male who is assertive and confident is considered attractive. As the research suggests, men who dominate others because of leadership qualities and other superior abilities, and who therefore are able and willing to provide for the families, quite possibly will be preferred to potential partners who lack these attributes. So then yeah, so I guess how do I connect to the working world somehow? And I guess I will use this phrase: the dominance route is paved with intimidation, threats, and coercion, and fueled by hubristic pride. Hubristic pride is associated with arrogance, conceit, and antisocial behaviors, unstable relationships, low level of consciousness, and high levels of disagreeableness, neuroticism, narcissism, and poor mental health outcomes. So, and here what it is, like, you can say, okay, I'm not gonna be an alpha male in a romantic relationship, but I'm gonna be it at work. And this is saying, yeah, but if you want to be alpha male at work, or alpha, even a female at work, that's not gonna work, because a lot of these traits that will make you go through a path of dominance are very negative traits. And in the end, arrogance, I mean, they're not gonna be accepted in a working environment. So that's probably what is gonna stop you from growing. And if you have this idea, and now I'm gonna wrap it up. So what I wanted to try in this video is, so somehow I wanted to go to the concept of alpha and beta male. So the initial question is, are you an alpha male? And I immediately answer that you are not. I hope that you don't want to become alpha. Reason is that alpha is a very abstraction it's a word that is this it describes a set of characteristics of a person that is in dominant position, and no one is dominant at all times. So alpha males, even a alpha in some situation, might become a beta in other situations. Think about when you go play football and you're super good at it, but as soon as you go and play pool, you have no clue what you're doing. So it really depends on the situation. And so you cannot be at any time. So then I went through, okay, where this alpha and beta concept came out, and it turns out that it came out from a paper that was related to wolves, and then it just was looking at wolves in a specific environment, and so in reality it doesn't really exist. But okay, let's assume that you can take some of this scientific paper out of it, and then they obviously try to study also that from a scientific point of view. And in here, this is the last article that somehow hopefully takes it down. Like, even the concept of alpha and beta, if fully applied, they will bring you to a path maybe of dominance, of you always trying to dominate on the person in front of you, but also in self-isolation probably, which is not gonna work in you for finding a woman or a man, depending if you're a man or a woman, if you like women or men. It's really this, unfortunately, this study just this article just goes for one, but I think you can generalize it in way more scenarios. And it is not only about personal life when you find a person that you want to construct a relationship, but it's also about when you want at work, when you are at work. I think it's gonna be the same. Like, people at work won't like you if you try to impose your will every single time. They prefer someone that is sometimes, confident, assertive. Even at work, they prefer someone that is confident, assertive, but at the same time easygoing and sensitive. So considering the things of other co-workers. So I hope that I convince you somehow that this concept of alpha and beta, I know that you can take it. I know that you can assign meanings and characteristics to the word alpha and beta. I'm saying just don't, because it just doesn't work even if you start applying those concepts. And with this, thank you so much for watching this video, and see you next time to the next one. Have a fantastic day and see you soon. Bye.